She had said to me without moving her mouth or anything, like, I'm okay. Like, you can move on. Like, everything's going to be okay. Sis, welcome home. I'm Keria, your soft life and self-love coach. Here is your sacred space to heal, glow, and grow, and also choose yourself first. I'm still walking through and healing through the passing of my grandmother who died in 2023. And if you're still healing or you're still grieving, this video is for you. Losing my grandmother felt like I lost a major part of myself. Not hearing her voice anymore. This woman was so encouraging, and she loved her grandchildren. She was there for her grandchildren no matter what. Technically, or actually, she was there for anyone who she loved. And I have a lot of guilt because I wish that I had spent more time with her. And also, I wish that I would have showed her the amount of love that she showed others. Some days I'm okay, but some days, I get really affected because I'm like, this woman was the only woman that I could be 100% honest with and taught me things and was brutally honest about everything in life. And she is the one who taught me about the importance of reading the Bible and going to God with your problems and believing. Moments where I lost faith in myself or I didn't love myself, she was the one to remind me, like, hey, go in the mirror and I need you to say some affirmations. She was the one to make me feel whole again. Her advice was always for the good. And knowing that no matter what, this woman had my back. And I miss that. I really do. I still have dreams about my grandmother, and one of the dreams that actually gets me really emotional is, after her passing, I had a dream that I was in her house, it was family there, and she had passed away. And my grandmother had this gold mirror in her house. And, I was looking in the mirror to see, because I wanted to see her. I wanted to see her spirit. And so and this is in my dream, and I'm like looking in the mirror for her. And it was kind of like, almost like 3D, almost like how if you put like a mirror and another mirror together, you'll see, like, I don't know how to explain it, but she was in there and she was wearing all black, and she kind of stood sideways, but she turned, like her head was turned towards my direction. And I didn't want to scare anyone that was in the house. So I was just like, I felt good to know that she was near. And so everyone was starting to like walk outside the house and sit down on the porch, but I was the last person to leave. And so as I'm closing the door, I see my grandmother sitting on her couch, and it's like honestly, her face was just like she wasn't directly staring at me. It was like she was just staring at something, but it was like she had said to me without moving her mouth or anything, like, I'm okay. Like, you can move on. Like, everything's going to be okay. And it brought peace to me because to experience those emotions in that dream. And I felt like it was real. And I felt like that was something that she would tell me if she was here today. It's okay. Like, we're good. Live your life. I've lived mine. Focus, move on, keep going. What I learned about grief, though, is that grief doesn't have a timeline. There's people who lost parents, grandparents, children, who still honor their loved ones. And I'm not in a rush to forget my grandmother, and I don't want to forget my grandmother. I always try to find ways of remembering her and thinking about her. Certain things that I do in my life, I'm like, okay, what would Grandma Deb say? And, you know, I would think about the moles she had on her face, how she had her hair cut, how she had her hairstyle, just hearing her voice, you know. And I saved a recording of her just so I could always hear her voice. Joy and sadness can exist at the same time. And this is so true because I know that my grandmother is in a better place. When my grandmother was here, she had recently lost her mom. Not too long after that, she ended up passing. But I know that she was hurting from the passing of her mother, and she just wasn't really happy. And I feel like right now she's in a happy place because not only is she with her mother, she's with her husband, you know, past loved ones, and she's with her Lord. And I know that's my grandma studied the Bible. She knew she could quote anything from the Bible. Any problem, she would, you know, tell me, hey, read the scripture. One particular scripture she would always tell me to read is Psalms 91. And she told me, like, hey, I need you to read this every night. And I missed that advice. And, you know, I wish, you know, she was still here because I wanted her to be the one to take my child to church and experience, like, have that traditional old school church, you know, situation going on. But her memory, and I'm going to instill that in my own child. Grief has taught me that life is too short to hold grudges. Holding on to grudges, and people are leaving here fast. I chose to realize that nothing is really that serious for me. I'd rather move on from a situation, and holding on to anger or issues with someone you love, I'd rather not do that anymore, because me being upset with you and then that was my last interaction with you will have me dwelling and just really sad and upset with myself, and I'd rather just not do that. So on my end, I like to have a clear conscience, and I'd like to release the negative energy and just don't deal with stuff like that, and I'd rather just make things right. Now, I can't control how other people choose to respond or choose to act, but on my end, for my self-love, for my self-care, I release that. I'm learning to honor my grandmother on how I talk to myself and how I love myself, because one thing about it, my grandmother was very, very big on loving yourself and putting yourself first. Make sure, you know, you take care of yourself. It could be outside your body or inside your body. But she was really big on affirmations. And that's one thing that I have instilled in myself to do every single day. Sis, if you're grieving, I just want to let you know that you're not alone and you're okay. Cry if you need to, write it down, rest. But you are not alone. Grieving is okay. You're human. You're healing. I made this video to honor my grandmother and to let someone out there know that you're not alone. Grieving can be a process, and there's not a time limit on grieving. Heal on your own terms, but heal. If this spoke to you, share it with someone who is still grieving. Like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell. Also, let me know if this spoke to you today. You're still loved, and they're still with you, and you're doing better than you think you are.